Pichuve ni vika venga ipo, picheke ni vika venga ipo, kaono kagana nipite nuka wajipo, kopila mana mungono, mana watakata bezibili, mana mungono Kitele ni vika venga ipo, pichuve ni vika venga ipo, picheke ni vika venga ipo, kaono kagana Nipite nuka wajipo, kopila mana mungono, mana watakata bezibili, mana mungono Pitendeni, pichuveni, pichekeni, pitendeni Pitendeni vika venga ipo, pichuveni vika venga ipo, pichekeni vika venga ipo, kaono ngavana Nibisi baba wandipo, kopila mana mungono, mana watakata bekumi, mana mungono Pitendeni vika venga ipo, pichuveni vika venga ipo, pichekeni vika venga ipo, kaono ngavana Nibisi baba wandipo, kopila mana mungono, mana watakata bekumi, maono ngavana Pitendeni, pichuveni, pitendeni mwe, pichuveni Pitendeni vika venga ipo, pichuveni vika venga ipo, pichekeni vika venga ipo, kaono ngavana Akazi mwe mukiseo, akazi mwe mumabawa, iwaji mana mumono, na baba da pitendeni Pitendeni vika venga ipo, pichuveni vika venga ipo, pichekeni vika venga ipo, kaono ngavana Akazi mwe mukiseo, akazi mwe mumabawa, iwaji mana mumono, na baba da pitendeni Pitendeni mwe, pichuveni mama, pichekeni mwe, pichuveni mwe, pichekeni Yamene hiyo yanaoga Kaliko kitenda singona pano, 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 kaliko kitenda singona.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, Chiwempala. Good evening, world. Good evening, Chavuma and Chadiza. Good evening, Pulungu and Livingston and Shirundu and Feira and Luangwa and Kacholola. Welcome to Evacuator tonight. My name is Elias Munsha, coming to you live from Calgary, Alberta. I am with my co-presenter Gladys Storm, who lives in Denmark, and Denmark is very close to Sweden. That's how much we know about where Denmark is. But we have a very special guest, Sister D. Good evening, Sister D, and welcome to TV Evacuator.
Good evening, Doc. How are you doing?
I am very well. We are experiencing sub-zero temperatures here in Alberta. It's snowy outside, quite sunny.
And it's very hot here in Zambia. Very, very hot.
Tuchinjane. You know, we do a Kalito.
And how's Denmark to the?
Thank you. Denmark is very cold. It's very cold. The weather keeps on changing. We can have 4 seasons within a day. So You should be happy to have a warm weather.
The last time.
Yeah.
The last time we were in Denmark, we were told it's summer, but it was still cold.
I know that, right? It can be cold also in the summertime. When we are wearing at least a jacket, we always have to move around with an umbrella, a summer light jacket, and the winter jacket, because the weather can change anytime.
All right. Now, Sister D, we've got to get started already, but before we do that, we're going to give you a few minutes, our dear listeners, to spread the word around. Let everybody know that Sister D is on TV Bakwetu tonight, and let's have a good discussion. I know that it's 22 hours in Chiwempala, so it's extremely late, and most of you want to be sleeping. But who would want to be sleeping now when we do have Sister D right on TV Bakwetu? So wake up everyone, and let us have a chat with Sister D. You have just released a new song, a new single, and it's talking about woman blame or something like that. We will be playing it momentarily here in the background. What are you trying to say in that song, Woman Blame? Sister D? It appears like there is really real struggles with network from Lusaka today. It's not just Sister D that has been experiencing network issues. There are more people are experiencing network problems. Sister D, you are back now. Can you hear me? Hello, Sister D. Yeah, I think we are experiencing difficulties there with the network. But please spread the word around. Sister D is going to reconnect back, and then we are going to continue with our discussion with Sister D. Are you there, Sister D? That is the blessing of technology. It works very well most of the times, and we can't complain with how technology has served us here on TV Bakwetu, but sometimes it falls short. Gladys, I want to play a little bit of the Woman Blame song, and there it is. It says Woman Blame. So basically, Sister D is saying people blame women a lot. Ukubepesha banamayo. Fyonse ni namayo. If you tafibombele wino namayo. If you pofyapwa namayo. Kunganda ku bedroom kwachepa ni namayo. Fyonse ni namayo. Yeah. And even infertility, so everything is blamed on the woman, and we are commemorating these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and it's appropriate really that we get this song. Sister D, are you back?
Trying to.
Yeah. I think there could be a network problem. How are we doing now, Sister D?
I tell you, it's a very sad state of.
All right. Now, if you tried to switch off the video and just went to audio, would that help?
I think she should probably just reboot her phone if it's the phone she's using or the computer, and then she should restart it.
All right. Okay. Maybe you could restart and then come back again. Mwelwa, we have this song from Sister D, which is saying woman blame. It's like women get blamed for everything. Do you agree with that or no?
I agree. So in a lot of cases, I think we are blamed for a lot of things. It's the woman's fault if the house breaks down, but it's not the man's fault. If the children are errant, then it's the wife's fault.
Yeah. So this is 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And I think this song is quite appropriate in the sense that it is telling us a message about gender-based violence. I don't think we can still have Sister D there. The network does seem to be having a little bit of a problem there. Gladys, what are the other issues that women get blamed for?
The women get blamed for a lot of things. It probably could be, I think, abalumenga batemwa okulya beans, abakashita baishibwa okwipika beans. I mean, there are certain things you'll be surprised that a woman probably can't figure out how to make beans or tabaishibwa okusalula kapenta. Bayamukwirisha abalume ati taishibwa tabamufunda bwino taishibwa okwipika kapenta, just because not knowing that nawe inewe mwaume kuti you are taking at that stance. Ati efo wepika nifi because it takes two. Amano mapuli bapula fye. So now we kuti wachitana nikane kuti walangisha as umwaume as your partner to say, okay, efo bachita nifi nombali onse fe mwana kashi abananga tabale mfwa panga nda batampong bafika on that stage batampokula ba confused with their hormones ati yo mwana kashi pantu tasunga bwino abana takuliko bena tabakalipirako bawishi mwana kashi umwana na feruka ku skulu ati ni chinyina. So we get blamed for so many things, and the men take advantage of a woman, young or old. Munganda, mustriti, kuskulu, kunchito, it's the same. It's a woman. Because a woman, but thank God today things are slowly changing, and this is what we have to, it has to be addressed. Unfortunately, our Sister D network yabo, na issue about, she should have just walk us through with this 16 days of gender-based.
Yeah, activism against gender-based violence. And so each one of us, I think, has a role to play in fighting against violence. And there are so many people that have defined violence in different ways. First of all, it's physical, right? Assaulting somebody, fighting, you know, applying pressure, putting pressure on a person and fights. That's violence. But it's also, there is the psychological component as well, where people psychologically abuse others. That's equally violence as well. And so during these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we need to look at this and really try to find a solution. And I don't think it's like a journey that has a destination. It's a process, and we all must do the best that we can to see that we defeat it. Yeah, because it's almost like we are at war. Mwelwa?
Absolutely. I think it's something that we need to keep at, hoping that we have a paradigm shift as a people. Probably because we're applying it more to the Zambian population because we're in Zambia at the moment, but it's a worldwide issue. It's a worldwide phenomenon where people are violent against each other, whether we like it or not, or whether we have an excuse for it. In our concept, we will say, all right, it's the culture and everything, but it's something that we need to look for solutions that are absolute, and people don't have scapegoats, because I think we have too many scapegoats at times as well. There's so many routes that somebody can find a way to get out. there's so many instances where you find people have been abused, but because the person paid some money, they're able to, you know, to escape justice or being taken to the police because they had the money. So I think it's a lot of change within the cultural setups internationally, and in some nations they've managed, in some nations they haven't managed. So I suppose it's something that really needs to take up a lot of speed. We need a lot of education as well, because maybe that changes a lot of mindsets even before you're getting into a relationship.
Right, and we have seen several messages that are popping up even on social media, trying to get social media influencers, cultural leaders, national leaders to try and speak very openly about it. There is this perception that some people perpetuate that it's actually only in the lower classes, in the poor, that GBV exists. In actual fact, it also exists among the rich. Do you agree?
Yes, definitely. I agree personally. And the gender violence, I think it started long back, probably in the First World War I or and also First World War II, where the women were underlooked. They were underlooked up. We were down on the level that we cannot decide anything. And in those times, it wasn't only in Africa, it's worldwide. Women had no right. You couldn't sit with the men. You couldn't go to work because you are a woman. But today, just like Mwelwa said, that some countries are in control. I think it's a general problem which each and every country is fighting today. They are coming today that these equal rights of a woman, a woman is fighting for the equal rights, because we are coming on that level where we want to be equal with the man, of course, which probably would not happen, but we are just trying to fight that violence. And this, we look at it in different aspects. We look at it into power. We look at money and power, especially these two things, which are happening in people who've got the money. When the more money the people have, the more controlling they are. When they get into the job market, for example, the people with the power, when you go and look for a job, you're looking for the position, they look at a woman, this woman won't fit this position, but this man has got the power to control a woman. And then what do? The woman will be abused sexually to be given that position. And this is what we should keep on fighting, that we should not be used as a mop, even for those people who've got that power of money. Because money itself, that's the power itself. Without the money, then they cannot be controlling us. But we are being controlled because of that money. And you really, as a woman, you really probably you want to help your family. You want to take care of your children. You could be a single mother. You find in a situation that you accept to do that. Sometimes it is not even unwillingly. They have a way of getting the women, of manipulating a woman. You get that job, but that job is not for free. You paying for that job, and that has to be fought for. So it is, yes, it is happening with the people who've got the money.
Right. So it cuts across all the classes, and it cuts across all education sectors as well. Because sometimes we look at it and think that it's only the least educated women, like gender-based violence is only the least educated women that are victims of it. But even the most educated lawyers, judges, and accountants, very, very responsible women, so to speak, they are also victims of gender-based violence, and solutions should cater to both the poor and the rich. You agree? I can see Mwelwa, you are agreeing.
I do agree. It's a human phenomenon. I think it's not a class issue. It's a human behavioral thing that probably people need to look at. I think I was saying earlier to say, you see, I feel, especially let's say when I apply to Zambia, that a lot of the men that are abusive towards the women are people who do not know their identity. They don't know who they are because nobody taught them how to be a man. And you need to be taught to be a man. You can't self-teach yourself to be a man. You need some guidance, somebody out there. giving you the steps, say, right, this is how you can be a man, how you can behave as a man. But what happens is these gentlemen who are untaught get into marriages, and when they get into marriages, they have misunderstood the idea of being a leader or the head of the house. They think being the head of the house is being the dictator of the house. And when they get into their homes, they're beating up their women, they're equally the headache of their children as well, instead of being the head. So there's this challenge, probably, I would say, in Zambia, for a lot of the men. It's a lot of education that they have not gotten from the male folk, elderly male folk, which used to happen prior. Not that abuse didn't happen that much, but it's become a lot more prevalent these days. Maybe because socially as well, we have a lot more information and news. Maybe it was happening in those days and it was a very hush-hush, because as we know, the culture says, Songeni fintu munga, and that kind of thing. And now maybe we're able to speak up. But there is a big gap. We're not being taught the lessons we need to be taught when we're getting into our relationships or into our marriages. A lot of the conversations you're supposed to have had before you get married are happening in your marriage when you make a mistake as big as maybe you beat up your wife, and then now your family sits you down to teach you. And they're supposed to have taught you that before you got into your marriage, because then there's a lesson that you're going to carry into the marriage, and you have some of these things in mind.
All right. For those that are joining us here on TV Bakwetu this evening, we have a very special guest, Sister D. And Sister D requires no introduction. We all know she's a household name. And so we are very excited to have her here on TV Bakwetu. And the issue is that we have these 16 days of activism against GBV. And Sister D has released a new single. It's simply entitled Woman Blame. And so we want to chat with her a little bit about that and see how our society can be helped. Sister D, we are happy to have you back.
Thank you so much. This is so depressing, but I'm glad I'm back.
All right, thank you. So we were just talking about your song, as I almost said, Sister Blame. Your song, Woman Blame. What are you trying to communicate in that song? Yeah.
Woman blame. I think,
yes, please. I think we are still experiencing that little issue. Are you there?
When you look at the Bible from the beginning, we hear that the person who ate the apple in the Garden of Eden was Eve, and Eve was a woman. When you look at Jesus Christ, when that which was brought to Jesus, we didn't see any man with her. I mean,
yes, I think we are having network issues there, Sister D. Yeah, I think we are having. It appears like it's not just Sister D, but several of our listeners and followers from Zambia are experiencing this problem. Mwelwa, what network are you using? What network are you using? Because it appears like many people are not connected.
Unfortunately, Zamtel seems to have switched off, which is a little bit more what I use for these evening sessions, and it's a little bit more assured. So I've switched on to Airtel, and it equally seems a bit offish.
Yeah. Okay. So Sister D is I don't think we are going to have her here because of that. Okay. So if you are there and you want to come on, please let us know. I've just posted the link, and our topic today is gender-based violence, gender-based violence in our country, and we are trying to see how we can all think and change our own attitudes so that we can reduce it, because there is too much gender-based violence in Zambia. And of course, mostly it started with the focus on women, the fact that women were the victims of much of this violence, but it's being seen in men as well. So men becoming victims of gender-based violence. And so it's important that we put our minds together and our thoughts together. That's why we have these 16 days of activism, so that we can begin changing our attitude towards each other. Because people should not be fighting, should not be violent towards each other. We need to be loving each other, forgiving each other, and yeah, because what is wrong? Why should people be fighting? We shouldn't. You agree with Gladys, right?
I definitely agree, but I mean, there's an imbalance of the gender. The women have been more suppressed. Their feelings are more suppressed. I mean, there are many times in homes whereby a woman, from the cultural perspective, you don't say anything. You're just there. You just listen. Otherwise, you don't have to retaliate, or you don't have to defend yourself. So, which means, and that's a psychological violence. It's not a physical violence. It's a psychological violence in the sense that you cannot defend yourself. You are powerless. You just have to, you just take it in. And this is where you find a lot of deaths in homes, because I'm not encouraging that, but your feelings are being suppressed. That person, and then this is what even the people who are there to encourage, to talk with the women when they're getting into marriages or when they're getting into relationship, it's very important to put also the men and the women together, and also encourage them to have a good communication. Not to suppress that. Of course, there's a way whereby you don't offend the other partner, but there has to be a balance whereby now we know to defend that it's not me. Say your part. The woman, the man is not always right. So the woman has also to be given an upper hand to express herself. And this is what we lack in most of the relationships, not only relationships, everywhere. We just know from the cultural perspective that a woman is somebody who should have respect for a man. And I remember, sorry to say that, I remember what Dr. Becky wrote somewhere. I said HH has liberated ladies at ZESCO, ZRA, and consequently saved marriages. He wrote that, and it's there on social media, which means, as I interpret it between the lines, it's like, okay, these people who are in positions, they are misusing the women. They are misusing the women. They are misusing the women, getting from other marriages. They are breaking marriages. When a woman is just, it's just like something any man can use. It should not be like that. A woman is being created to be respected equally as a man should be respected as well. Over to you.
I think I do agree, definitely. I needed to think a little bit deeply, much more deeply, when you brought up that quotation of saying that women are liberated since the ZESCO management has been dissolved. So number in a connection, Shachi Mona. So Mwanja Fuishoko Mona connection. Is it the issue that ZESCO people were notorious for what?
It's because, I mean, this is when I put you back to the conversation which we have about classes, lower class and upper classes, and we can consider this is just an example, and this is a quotation which I got somewhere on social media. These are the classes. When we take the ZRA people, when we take the ZESCO people, and all those in positions, these are the people with power. And what is power? These are the people with money. They are controlling. They are controlling the women.
Are they the ones who are abusing women? Are they? How does that relate to GBV? Because sometimes I'm slow to understand things. So
I think the joke was more in line to say I think the joke was in line to say, those bosses that had money and, could get any woman they wanted, kind of an analogy.
But that's also
I was
abuse.
thinking, could it be a case of where, yes, could it be a case where light you can't see? So light you can see who is cheating and stuff like that. So I had gone a long way thinking.
Right. Yeah. Jacqueline Said Chimba is saying that GBV encompasses sexual abuse as well. I think I definitely agree. And in our country, which is has its own culture and stuff like that, that could be the case. But sexual abuse, what is sexual abuse? Is it abuse between partners? Does that include sexual starvation as well? And not because sometimes we think that sexual starvation is just about the woman starving the man, but it could actually mean the other way around, where the man is actually starving the woman. It's possible, and could that be violent? Those are some of the things we perhaps need to continue thinking about. Sister D. Sister D, good evening.
Hello.
Hello. So I can see that Sister D is being helped. I think this time around, this network is going to work very well. Otherwise, if it were PS of defense here, he was going to assign blame on something, on someone. But the PS is not here. Hello, Sister D.
Hello, Doc. Hello.
Yes, we're very happy to have you. And
Hi.
so we know that network is a problem. Yes, we can hear you.
I'm so thankful to be on this platform. I'm so excited, though, as usual, the depression with the network, it's something else.
Right. And so here is the thing. In your song, Woman Blame, what are you trying to tell us?
Like from the beginning, I think from time immemorial, when we look at the beginning of the earth in the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is that Eve ate that apple from the garden. When we look at Jesus Christ, when that prostitute was brought to Jesus, it was only the woman who was in that story. In our time, there's a girl, maybe you've heard about her, Iris Kaingu. Yes, she did a video and stuff like that, but where's the guy? Every time Iris tries to say something, that story still comes back, but we don't hear of the guy. So why is the woman always being blamed? This blame culture has to be discouraged in our society. When we look at him in our language, they would say ningoma, mamuna si ngoma. Mukazi always is the ngoma. But we realize that there are sometimes that men are infertile or there's something wrong, but the blame will always be on the woman. Infidelity, right. When a man leaves a home or goes for another woman, the blame will always be on the woman. Anakangiwa kusunga chikwati, and even issues of divorce. So I was just trying to bring out these issues with blame culture. A wrong is a wrong, whether it's a man or a woman. Why should a woman's wrong be a song, on repeat? So that's what I'm trying to bring out in this song.
All right. So this is not just a song in isolation. You have been an activist against gender violence. You've been an activist for human rights, for gender equality, and several things. And so what led you to becoming an activist in these areas?
I think it's things that are around me, growing up in the 70s, because I was born in the early 70s, and I saw what women were going through at that time. I lived with a very strong mother, but sometimes when you have a funeral, they'll make sure they wait for your uncle because he's the man, and your mother, who is a strong woman, cannot make certain decisions. Certain things were not supposed to be done. Simple things like certain ndio or relish, a chicken. There are certain parts a woman cannot eat. We're not told why we are not eating those
Inondo.
parts. In
Sister D,
church, it was so difficult for women to stand in church because they are women. So for me, I think those little things I used to look at. Also the issues like initiation ceremony. We only saw the girls, being displayed to say you've come of age, and I don't know whether it was to show off that they are ready for marriage or whatever. So all those things really bothered me as a young girl. I think there were things that I would talk with my mother to say, this I will not do, this I will not agree to, even when I was a young girl. So I think it stems from there, the environment I've lived in, what I have seen around society, that just prompted me to say somebody needs to speak about these things.
All right. And so at what point did you then use that knowledge and that heart for activism, as well as the art, the music, and everything else? Did you just wake up one day and say, I want equality, women should be respected, I'm going to use music? Or was it like, I'm a musician, I'm going to advocate for these things?
I think it started from school. I think sometimes you would see the difference between the students and the female students in class. So I was always this girl who was being pushed to say, Kamba, and they are doing this to the girls. But after I joined the music industry, I think I realized that it was the best platform I could use because music is a mass communicator. And I thought, what I always think of can come music, It was as simple as listening to the news, like a song you played earlier, Vitendeni. I heard on the news that a 2-year-old child had been sexually abused and infected with HIV. And I looked at my daughter, who was only 2 years by then, and I was in the kitchen and I saw a knife, and I was like, for me, what would I do to such a man who does that to a child? And all that came into my mind was that, I'll just get a knife and, just do the needful, castrate them, So I think it started earlier, but I think I would use it better with the music.
All right, we'll go back to Vitendeni later because that's one of the most controversial songs. You've done a lot of controversial music, but that is one of the most controversial songs, definitely. You say that you were in was that secondary school you were talking about, where you got started with all this activism?
Is the question that I started this activism from school?
From secondary school. You had mentioned secondary school.
Yes.
All right. So where did you do your secondary school? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Livala, and I went to school in Chilenje. It was a Christian school, a private called the Ebenezer Secondary School by the Methodist Church.
All right. And then from secondary school, did you begin doing your music from there?
Yes. Yes, I started doing music from secondary school. Even in primary, I was at secondary school. It was growing. After school, I was already doing theater because I was an actress by then. So even the music parts that were being done in the theater group, I always took them up. You know, so the music started at school. But after I just left school, I thought I want to do this, though there wasn't any college that offered music. So I was just trying to meet a number of musicians here and there and just teaching myself until I met Michael, who really like pushed it further.
All right. Okay. So you are both famous musicians. You are both famous activists, and you are both extremely hardworking. When did you meet?
We met some time back when I was in secondary school. We used to meet at variety shows, but we were not as close. We just saw each other at a glance. And then when I joined Tequila Theatre, he was already acting in Tequila Theatre. So when I joined, I think that's when we became so close. I think it should be so the 80s, because 12 by then. 1990, somewhere there, you know. So that's the time we met.
Right.
And we were friends from then on until where we are.
All right. A lot has been said about Tequila Theatre. Can you tell us a little bit about what that group was all about?
Tequila Theatre was, like the name says, it was a theatre group. We had the likes of Mumbaka, Malamamfumu, Matilda. We had Michael Zulu, the older sister, and I joined myself, the winner of them. It was a theatre club, and we did a lot of plays. I also did feature in a play entitled Waiting for Sanctions. We were talking about the apartheid South Africa by then. I think I also participated in a play titled Soweto Revisited, still talking about apartheid. And we toured a lot of countries in Southern Africa with the plays that we did. And it was a big theatre club that we were privileged at one point to just find that President Kenneth Kaunda was in the audience watching the play Waiting for Sanctions. The other hype that we had in the theatre club was when Mandela was released. The first country he visited was Zambia, and the club that was, taken to go and do a play at State House was our club, and we were the first people to meet Nelson Mandela at State House. So it was that big in our time, and we did theatre. We did stage theatre.
Right, and so you are multi-talented, definitely. So acting in a drama club, music, different kinds of art. Looking at Tequila, is it still in existence today?
No, it's not. It's not.
Right. Are there any other organizations that have succeeded it and have taken over that kind of thing?
Not really, but we have other theatre clubs that still do it, that are performing. But for Tequila Theatre and a number of other theatre clubs that were existent at that time are no more. Most of them are doing other things and stuff like that.
All right. And so in your own opinion, when you look at your early days of Tequila compared to what is happening currently in the country, what's the state of theatre? Where are we at in that regard?
I think theatre is, we don't have a lot of plays plays being done. You know, we used to have a number of plays at the Lusaka Theatre Club, but this time it's very rare to hear about plays, maybe because most actors and actresses have gone to the screen, like the film industry and stuff. So I think theater is going down.
Right, and I think that's pretty sad. We hope that it will be revived one way or another. Now, before I let my co-hosts ask you a few questions, I'd like to just
that would be great.
The Vitendeni music. You did mention a little bit about how you got inspired to do that song. Did you literally mean that you would want to cut off offenders?
Yes, as an angry mother, as an angry woman, I think that's what came into my mind. You know we don't need such men in society. I think the song says it all. They are prostitutes. You know, why would you go for a child? You know, so I really meant that, because we don't need these men in our society, and these children are seeing them and being traumatized, because when they're arrested, they are given bail. And, you know, if a child sees that perpetrator, you know, they are traumatized. So for me, I meant just that. It might not be with a knife, but you can use chemicals, you know, chemical castration. They will not have their pride. I think everyone to lose that. So I meant that in every, you know, I think we don't deserve those men in our streets, in our homes, in society.
Right. You mentioned at one time that you were performing in a prison, and you played Vitendeni, and many prisoners joined in the song, and you had posted that.
Yes.
It was. How did you process that? And some of those were actually accused of that very offense. How was that for you?
Mm-hmm. I was a bit nervous. Actually, I was very nervous, because most of the people that were there were people who were, you know, charged with defilement and stuff like that. And I sang other songs, and you won't believe that the prisoners themselves, those who were, you know, in there because of defiling children, came to me and said, "Sister D, please sing Vitendeni for us." You know, and they just relieved me, because they didn't know what prison is. You know, is a place that you're not so comfortable in. You know, you go to meet all these people who are on death row. You know, you meet them, then you go to these defiled children. They're there for 15 years, and you go into prison and sing that song, Vitendeni Vigabenga, and they insist to say, "Just sing it for us. You know, it's fine." And I did it. I just sang the song.
Right. Now, the video itself. Now, there is the message, and then there is the video. And I know that it's been almost 2 decades since that song was done, and it still remains quite controversial. Did you just decide to make those visuals? Were you trying to communicate a message with that, or what was going on?
I did get the last part, but the video, I think, also was controversial, because people thought the message was something else and the video was something else, the dances, the costume, you know. But at the end of the day, it's showbiz, and also you want to send a message out there. So you create something that will attract people to your video and your picture, and make sure that they watch the video, and then in the end they listen to the message. So it was strategic. You know, a lot of people say it condemned the dancing and the dressing, you know, but they at the end they listened to the message in the song. So it was a bit strategic. It's show business, so we had to show something and, send a message.
We had your husband a few days ago, and here you are, it is you. And you are a great couple. And I just want you to know that Zambia greatly appreciates you and the contribution you've made to its art.
I'm so humbled. Thank you so much.
All right. Now, how would you want Zambia to remember you? I know you are still young and you still have several more years to give us Vitendeni and to give us Woman Blame, Woman Blame, Woman Blame, and several other contributions. But how would you want Zambia to remember you?
I wouldn't say how I want Zambia to remember me. I think my works should speak for, my works should speak for itself. People remember me for what I've done in their lives. So I wouldn't say remember me in this way. I think whoever is going to remember me for the things that I have done.
All right, and that is contributing. You see, because art contributes in a very different way to our nation. It spurs our imagination. It inspires us, kind of, and it makes us feel good. So thank you for all that contribution. I'll let Gladys and Mwelwa also ask you a few questions. I'll be chipping in here and there. I know that there is a time lag between what we say and when you receive it there in Lusaka, and so we'll try to give it a few seconds so that you can respond. Gladys?
Yes. Sister D, I'm just wondering why Sister D has a name, and then I would also like to know, where do you place yourself in the political arena in relationship to your advocacy? Why I say this is because we've been seeing a video which has been circulating, a young girl which has been sexually abused by some Chinese, who has been sold, more or less, I would say sold by the auntie. And what is the reaction? What is your reaction to that, if you have seen it? And how does the political situation affect you, or do they have a certain perception to your advocacy? Looking at the classes, the different classes we have, which are in control.
The D stands for Daputsa. That's my first name. People are pronouncing my name, so I thought it would be easier for me to cut it short than the D, which is the first letter of my name. And also, I performed with a friend. She's late now. She's Sister Beauty. So we were singing as a duo at first. So we just thought it would be nice to be, Sister D and Sister Beauty. So the sister also is from the Rasta culture. I think usually the females are called sister. The other part, politically, I think politically for me, I feel everything that we do is political, whether it's the music, whether it's the theater, it's all political. And the political environment really matters. Like for me, I was so depressed with the cadarism that was in this country, especially for people who spoke. Your battery is low.
Oh, is the battery low, Sister D?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Okay. Yes. So I was saying the political scenario also.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I was saying the political scenario also really matters. I was saying earlier that the Kadarism spirit that was in this country was so bad for me. I was so depressed because what I was like the way, people like my husband and myself, you were not comfortable to even going to certain places. But really the music helped, because even after the Bush protest, people were calling me, to say, where are you guys? Just maybe to see if I'm with those guys and stuff like that. But now that this has gone, I think for me, it's a good environment for us to do our activism. And for the young girl, I saw the videos. A lot of people sent that video to me because they know I deal with girl children. I saw it, and I'm glad that that woman was arrested together with the Chinese man. So those are the things we want to see. We don't want children abused and it goes nowhere. So we thought that those people were arrested and they'll have to face the wrath of.
Right. Good evening. I think for me, my only question, well, the first one I can think of is
Good
that
evening.
I think one of the things you're going to be probably remembered for is meaningful content in your music, which is a bit rare these days. I mean, I'm young, but I equally find some of the music on the market very meaningless. Sometimes it's bubblegum, it goes in and it comes out, and I'll never remember it. But I can imagine the Vitende song has so many memories with my family, and at the time when it was made, there are all these memories that come to life, and we can remember the song, we can sing it word for word. So I think my question would be, what advice would you give the younger artists on how you can probably trust meaningful content as opposed to just having a good jingle and we can laugh about it?
I think to the young artists, they have to know their value. They have a lot of power to change this world for the better, or to change the country for the better. I know they want to make the money sometimes quickly. Our kind of music sometimes will not pay as much as, club music where everybody is singing. Our kind of music is so difficult sometimes to penetrate, in the industry or in society. But my advice to the young artists is that they have the power, they have the voice, and people listen to them. So it would be wise that even if you do your love songs and stuff, at some point, remember the people and remember that the world needs somebody to speak for it. And the world needs to see some change. And artists.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sister D. For those that are joining us here on TV Bakwetu, we have Sister D, that's our special guest tonight, and we are having a chat. And we are chatting about gender-based violence, about her art, her music, and several other matters. And we are very, very honored to have her here. And so if you are joining us, please just know that TV Bakwetu here and Sister D is in the building. We'll call it a building or whatever we'll call this electronic thing. Olga, good evening. Sister D is here. You are muted.
Hello, Bamushan. Hi, everyone. Hello, Sister D. Sister D, can you hear me?
There is a lag. So it's very difficult to have a back and forth conversation, but go ahead and ask her.
Okay. Just wanted to find out if you are working with any organization in your cause, and if you're having any of the government organization or charity or NGOs that are working with you in your cause, and what is happening on ground. I know that we've had is it Boomba who's always posted for a long time on social media, on Facebook, about all the abuse that a lot of, not only children abusing, even fathers sleeping with their children, a lot of men. A lot of men abusing their women and sleeping. It's just been. I've always watched her stories as she's written, asking for help, and why we've not had all these people, and why there's not been a lot of government rules and regulations in policing these crimes against not adults as well as children.
Well, I think the police are trying to do their best. Now we know that if you defile a child, the minimum you get is 15 years, and 25 years. You can even go for 25 years. So I think they are trying their best. We have the victim sub unit where people can go to report. I know some picking them up. On Wumba, yes, I've seen her work, and it's very commendable. We need a lot of us to do that. I'm not working for any organization. I just do it personally with my friends, and the friends. But I've worked with a number of organizations who have, come to me and say, we want to work with you on this and that. But otherwise, I'm not like in an organization to say this is where I am. So really, I think it's just personal effort.
Yes, it's just that I know the police. There's the GBV policing that they do, but that's only when people have actually called the police, or not called the police, literally reported these cases to the police. But there's a lot of, when you look at Wumba's stories, there's a lot of abuse going on in the homes, especially to children who are kept. Children that are working for people. I live in the UK, and I had I remember when somebody came with a child, with a grown up, with a daughter, was asking me, I said I needed a nanny. They were like, okay, it's just and I was like, yes, but I said no, because I wouldn't give you my child. So it's a lot of people, because of the immense abuse that keeps going on with girl children. It's not only girl children, but girl children, and sexually girl children, but physically boy children as well. So there's a lot of abuse that's going on. The ones that the police are policing are the ones that go to report these cases to the police. So when you read, it's really saddening. When I hear your song, it kind of drives a lot home, because to see, you look at cases like, it's not unheard of that of all these amputation of certain private parts, but you see it. They still, if you in the United Emirates, when you do it, they literally stone you to death. But apart from that, you see people writing about, people coming out and saying, but then coming out and saying this is what's happened. But because of the shame and a lot of teaching that needs to go into our culture, and a lot of things that need to happen in our society to actually accept people that are physically and verbally, sexually, physically abused, that I don't know how much work is happening on ground at present.
I've always said this home, we'll go into school, we'll go into college, we'll go wherever, but the first class is a home. The first teacher you have, parents or your guardians. So for me, I think if we started with the children in our homes, them not to be tasked is what is supposed to be done. But of late, we've seen that a lot of parents have run away from parenting. You know, they've left the children with their helpers. You know, they are different. Sometimes if the music is vulgar, that's what the children will listen to. We've left our children with the television. You know, what is shown on television is something else, and that's what the children are learning. But it's very important that as parents, we always find time for our children. I've always told myself, I'll not let anyone teach my child most of things. I'll teach my child first, so that wherever she goes, she'll say, my mother or my father told me this already, and this is what it is. So I think it's very important that we start from the home. We start with the children. I think just yesterday we went to Ngombe Twin Palm School. We just have the chat. It's a community school, you know, and there are a lot of vulnerable. Steve Viziva is in a bad defilement. There was only one girl who said in a rape case. Can you imagine? So whatever happened to that child, they'll not even know. So it's very important that we parents take it on ourselves to educate our children. Sexual education. We might not go deeper, you know, to very young children, but we can surely look at the age and say, you know, she's 3. How can I speak with her? You know, she's 12. How can I speak with her? He's 13. I speak with him. I think that is very important. Otherwise, if we leave parenting to the TV, to the helpers, we are not doing the best for ourselves.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Olga. We appreciate your question and your presence here on TV Bakwet. Yeah. Mr. Patrick Chilufya.
Sorry, Bamusha. Can you hear me?
We have SISTA D, 16
Yes,
days of
I've
activism against gender-based violence.
Sister D, good to see you. And I know you're doing a very good job, you know, activism. And yeah, but my question is, obviously, the kind of work you're doing, you need a lot of support from the society and also from government and other organizations, even individuals. Have you got any support? You know, are you financially supported by any organization, or how are you? How are you? Running your organization?
We are running our activism through the little, you know, cut we make from.
Yeah.
Choose this.
I think we might be experiencing some network issues there. Sister D, are you there?
Yeah, the network is bad in Zambia.
Yeah, it's quite bad across the board in Zambia right now, particularly tonight. I don't know why. Himba.
Hello.
Hello. Are you back, Sister D?
Apologies for that. Hello. Yes, I
Hello.
am.
Yes, please.
Apologies for that.
Yeah, no problem. So the question is the resources. How are you doing with resources?
Yes, that we make from the music. from the music, from the little businesses that we do, we sacrifice a bit doing. I think.
All right. Okay. Himba.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you so much, Mamunsha. My point will be more on the families and families who really protect the perpetrator of this GBV, or especially the people who take part in the sexual abuse against children. Do we have Sister D? Is she back, Mamusha?
I think she's. Let me see here. No, it doesn't look like. Yeah. I think we've lost Sister D.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Welcome. Thank you. And so, Sister Himba Malambo. Now, because Sister D is Sister D, Sister Himba will be Sister H. Does that make sense?
It does a lot of sense.
And do you have dreads though, Himba?
These are dreads as well. What do you think,
no.
Sister D?
Sister D, do those dreads qualify? No, those dreads don't qualify by Himba. Mufuire mwafi, it must take several years. Ero munga chita qualify.
Wamunsha, ndeta mpafiapa. I'm just starting.
Me and Percy, are we also keeping dreads, eh? It's you are muted.
Tulesunga nomba apaka bilina iruba, so iliko trick.
On you, yes, on you. But for me, I can grow. It can grow anywhere. Imwe, we are not at the same level. Ine I can grow. Imwe, you can't. For sure. Sister D. Sister D. On TV Bakwetu tonight, we have Sister D from Lusaka, and we are experiencing a little bit of a network issue, but we are chatting with her. We are asking her about her story, about her activism, and her latest song, which is on Woman Blame. Woman Blame. It's on YouTube. You can play it, and we played it just a few minutes ago. It's a wonderful, wonderful song, Woman Blame. It's a song that is trying to discourage society from blaming women. Fionse ni bana mayo. Ifintu eronga fiabi pafie na mayo. Even when umuntu aingira ma elections alusa. Ngamwamu pshet, why did you lose? Atinina mayo arengere. You know, for no reason. It's women always that are getting blamed, and Sister D is trying to change that narrative so that we continue to respect women, and we remove this patriarchal thinking. Fionse, it's patriarchal thinking. And so Himba, I think Sister D will answer once we get her back. Percy, did you have anything to say? Percy, you have muted yourself.
I keep on forgetting, actually.
16 days. This is 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. What's your say?
For me, it's quite good, because when you think about it, when you think of just our own tradition, our traditions as well, they've got something to play as well. Because when you consider our tradition, you find that some of the things which are taught, you'd consider them to be demeaning to a woman. I heard earlier on, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was Gladys, she touched something to do with that, of which I do agree in terms of For example, you come from work, you arrive, you sit, you want to expect, you find both of you and your wife, you are from work, but you expect your wife to go and stand in the kitchen and start cooking.
Right.
We have to be realistic. We are all the same. So if you all come from work, the other one is cooking, the other one is doing something, you help each other. So it's
right.
Even those small things, it's part of abuse as well. I'll leave it there for the meantime.
Okay. Thank you, Percy. We're going to thank you for that. Sister D, are you back? All right. So the issue of chores, the fact that the fact that when you've both gone for work, the man goes and sits, abanwa, they even begin drinking, and yet they expect the woman to continue with the household chores and stuff like that. According to Percy, it's Percy. That's not right. It's violence.
Yeah, it's not.
I think
right.
it's actually abuse.
We have to realize that women also get tired and they need help. I think most of yes, it's really abuse.
Yeah. And so particularly to the young men, if into fear change. The God wants to be you want your woman to do everything. Do something. Sister D, are you there? All right. I do think that we are having a serious network issue here, but we cannot go.
Yes, I am.
We can't go. Oh, you're back?
Yeah.
All right. I think there's some network issues here, but we can't go without seeing all of you dance to this song. So we want to see you dancing to this song. I know that once we figure this out, it will all be fine. But here is Sister D in Vitenden. vitendeni, vichungeni, vitendeni we.
Here. No. Oh.
Na papa ka vitendeni we, vichungeni mama, vichekeni we, vichungeni we, vichekeni. Yamene hiyo yataola.
Mamusha, dance, you're not dancing. Dance.
This has been a presentation of TV Bakwetu. We had our guest, Sister D, talking about 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Of course, network has been extremely violent to us today, and so we've not been able to carry a very successful interview as a result of that. But nevertheless, towards the end of this program, we had several people do justice to Vitendeni. Elias Munsha here on TV Bakwetu. God bless you, and God bless our country.